I am April Webb. I'm from Golden, Colorado. I've been dealing with domestic violence for 5 years, and for the last 2 years I've been dealing with family court. Immediately after I was married, I was subscribed to the position of property, and I was beaten and raped and humiliated in every possible way that a wife can be humiliated. When I escaped the first time, I fled to an abused women's shelter for a couple months and returned because I could not get a restraining order for my son and was forced to see this man every week take my son away for even a day was unbearable. So I returned to my ex-husband. While I was at the shelter, I learned that the average abused person in America leaves their abuser 7 times before being successful. Mine was the second time. I am one of the few and one of the brave that dared to leave my abuser and take my child with me. And then when I asked the court for assistance, I asked for a temporary orders hearing so that my son and I would be protected. And he came in with false accusations of abuse, and my son was immediately taken away from me. The most that he had been away from me up till that point was when he was taken away for visitations while I was in the abused women's shelter. That was the most that my child has ever left my side up till that point. And I was labeled an abuser immediately and a parent alienator. I requested a child family investigator, and that child and family investigator did not do their job. She did not investigate. She did not spend more than an hour or so with me and my son. She said that I treated him like an infant because I held him and I kissed him. And I lost my son last year completely because, again, my ex-husband came into the courtroom with accusations of child abuse and the fact that he had decided I was a drug addict at that point, that I was living with an ex-convict, that I was an alcoholic. Every unimaginable accusation he has brought against me in court. And the court has not hesitated to remove my child from my care. I waived $520 a month in spousal maintenance. I waived child support, everything that I could possibly do to ensure that my son had what he needed most, which was his mother. He is now 5 years old. He turned 5 on October 3rd. He spent his birthday for 2 hours with me in visitation, and then chasing me down the hallway and asking me to come back, asking me to be his mom again. That was his 5th birthday. There have been 4 reports of sexual abuse reported to Child Protective Services has received 4 reports of abuse, 2 of them from myself. The first one was made while we spent 5 hours in University Hospital to examine my son and photograph my son and interview myself as my son was traumatized and screaming, and when I tried to give him a bath. The other 2, one was anonymous, and by an anonymous third party. I knew nothing about it. And the most recent was last month, reported by the school. My son was fondling his own genitals and saying that his daddy does this to him and he doesn't like it. And this is the man that raped me, but it's still unfathomable that a person can do that to their own child. And not only can they do that to their own child, but family court will protect them and enable them to continue doing it. Since then, I obtained a restraining order against my ex-husband for myself and my son. The moment that that restraining order was in place, I lost that magistrate who had been with me for 2 years and made my life hell. Suddenly, I had a new magistrate to turn my son over to what they called foster care, which was my ex-husband's girlfriend in my ex-husband's house. While she had her driver's license suspended, he was put in her care to drive him to school and to daycare to make a mockery of the restraining order. Child Protective Services was certain to note throughout the hearing that would determine where my son would stay, that they did not understand how she obtained a restraining order. They could not believe that this other magistrate had done something so wrong. He had pleaded guilty to domestic violence the first month of our marriage. I had fled to an abused women's shelter. I had done everything in my power to protect my child, and the family court has denied every motion to restore him to me. I pay $400 a month to see my son for 2 hours a week. I'm not a criminal, I'm not a drug addict, but I am losing rapidly everything because family court refuses justice to parents, refuses to investigate, refuses to be thorough, refuses to see children as anything more than a number. And they silenced my child when they silenced me because I am his voice. I am his advocate. I have sought to do everything in his best interest, and I am severely punished for it. I've been warned and put on notice for putting too many motions in. I have 3 times requested a judicial review. My Judge Jack W. Berryhill has refused to have any say in this case. He has refused to do his job. And now this week I am submitting my 4th judicial review request to the district judge, and after that I will take it to a higher court because I will not stop fighting for my child. I will not stop being an advocate for him. He is 5 years old, and the court system has no right to say where a child should be without investigating, without seeking out the truth, without regarding the evidence in any degree.